Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about how society brainwashed us to be followers. So your mom, your dad, your friends, your teachers, your church leaders, all of your authorities that you claim as when you're young, when you were younger, right? All of the people that you were supposed to look up to and look for guidance, and you assume that they were the people that had the answers to what the direction of your life should be. Those are the people that are responsible for all the brainwashing, all of the negative belief systems, all of the limited belief systems, all of the chaos, really. All of the chaos that's in the world is really caused, honestly, by bad leaders, right? Bad leaders, unintelligent leaders, leaders who don't have a clue on what they're even telling us, right? Like, your teachers have no idea how important their job is. Your parents, it's so crazy how, like, we underestimate as a globe how valuable those two jobs are, like teaching and parenting. I just think to, like, my education and my upbringing as it pertains to my family, there's so many things that I had to learn, right? There's so many things that I had to question once I got to be around 17 to 18, right? Like, there were so many things I was told as it pertains to a career, as it pertains to what I should do, what my education, where I should live, how I should live, like what kind of lifestyle I should live, right? And unfortunately, right, and it's really not my parents' fault, my teachers' faults, it's their leaders' faults, of course, and then it just keeps going, right? But everyone who has brainwashed me, you, and all the young people that are alive right now, they didn't know better, right? So they had no idea that, the things that they were teaching were right. They just did the best that they could with the experience that they have undergone and went through. So I am not hating. I'm not here to bash or, say that these people are evil, right? Because if you don't know what you're doing, right, it doesn't mean you're an evil person. I feel like evil is only justified when the person knows that they're doing something to harm you, right? So your parents didn't know that their false belief systems are going to hold you back, or your teacher's way of teaching you wasn't the right way to lead you to a happy, healthy, rich lifestyle, right? That's just what they were taught, right? Like, a lot of teachers, unfortunately, are just there for their paycheck, right? And, they don't take their job that seriously, right? They look at their job and they look at the kids as, the kids are most likely annoying. They're arguing with each other. They're fidgety. They don't want to be there. They're impatient, right? Which all kids are. And the teacher's looking at it like, hey, how do I just get these assignments graded? How do I get these lessons taught? And how do I just, finish the day off without, hitting a child, basically, right? So our teachers aren't necessarily the best when it comes to giving us the wisdom and guidance we need to live a fulfilling life, unfortunately. I mean, granted, there are some good teachers. I had some good teachers. There's been a couple of good teachers, I won't lie to you, but they're far and few in between, right? Like, I could probably, out of the, I don't know how many teachers I had, maybe 40 teachers I've had, grades 1 through 12, I could probably name 3 or 4 that were really good, that were open-minded, that were encouraging, that didn't have limited false belief systems, that weren't idiots, right? And that, like I said, it's not their fault, but I'm just here to make prove that point, that, a lot of our leaders and teachers and parents aren't necessarily the ones that are going to lead you to success, right? So, if you're someone who's questioning, like, what is life? Like, how do I live the good life? How do I like live a rich life? How do I get money? How do I have, like, success with the opposite sex? Like, how do I find fulfillment? How do I find joy? How do I find a passionate career? Don't go to school and don't listen to teachers or your parents, right? 90% of the time, unless you have, like, a parent that's like a they questioned their belief systems and they went out and they did something great. Okay, yeah, they probably have some good lessons to teach you. But for the most part, a lot of our parents are average. A lot of our teachers are average, right? Like, hey, why am I learning? If I want to start a business, or I want to be an influencer, or I want to be someone who impacts the world or who helps people, why am I going to learn that from someone who hasn't done it? Why am I going to learn that from someone who is just regurgitating a book, right? Who's just reading off a text, right? In a book. That's stupid, right? Who gets paid $50,000 a year, who doesn't know anything about investing, who doesn't know anything about marketing, doesn't know anything about budgeting, right? Doesn't know anything about the value of the US dollar, right? Why am I going to listen to that? And another thing as well with your parents, like, hey, like, I don't want to, I love my parents, but there's some parts of them, it's like, I don't want to live that way. I don't want to have that. I don't want to have that life. I don't want to have that aspect of your life that you have. And it's not, like I said, it's not anything like negative or resentful. It's just, you just don't want that, right? And if you're someone who, which I'm sure most of you are, if you're someone who's in a situation where you feel like, you're trapped, right? Because it can feel like when you're living with your parents and when you're going to school, I'll tell you this, I've been alive for 25 years, going on 25 years. I'll tell you this, the most depressed I ever was, the most frustrated I ever was living with my parents and going to school. If there's one way to give my advice to you, is as soon as possible. I mean, as soon as possible. Get out of college or graduate high school, don't go to college, and leave your parents. If you do those two things, I promise you, you will feel the greatest sense of relief. And like I said, it's not going to be your one-way ticket to a great life, but it's the beginning, right? I made a video why most people never reach their full potential, right? A lot of you guys watched that. A lot of you guys liked that video. And I said that the first step is to leave people that are, leave your family and leave just the tribe, leave the brainwashing, leave the conditioning, leave the programming, right? And I said that because your tribe, the people you grow up with, your friends, your teachers, they typically aren't going to be the people who are going to be the ones you look up to. And unfortunately, I can say right now, the mentors that I have and the people that I admire aren't any of my teachers or my family members or my friends, right? Unfortunately. And it's sad to say that, you'd think that as a country, as a civilization, we'd have better leaders in our real life physical communities, right? But unfortunately, it's just not the case, right? And it sucks. Like, it sucks because, as a young person, as a young man, as a young person trying to not make it or not even come up, but just trying to live like a good life, it's like you'd think you'd have elders and people out there that, you could look up to and you could ask for help when you need it, right? And in physical reality. Now, I'm not talking about coming on the internet and watching advice on YouTube, right? It's not the same. And typically that would be your father, your uncle, right? But most of us don't have fathers. Most of us, if we do have fathers, they're brainwashed, they're overweight, they're deadbeat, right? And it sucks, right? So someone that is struggling, the first thing I would say is, and your life path is going to be different than mine. But if you feel trapped, if you feel like you're sick and tired of listening to your parents, you feel like you're sick and tired of being told what to do, you're sick and tired of, bringing up certain subjects and having them shot down and having them denied, right? Because, there'd be some things I would bring up to my parents. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? And their first response is, oh, don't do that. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy, right? And that is very frustrating. That makes me want to fight, right? Like I get so pissed when, there would be times where I'd bring things up to my mom or my dad, and they would be like, oh, like, that's crazy. Like, don't do that. Like, what do you think you are, right? That is debilitating as a child or as a young teenager. To hear discouraging words from your parents, the people that are supposed to love you, the people that are supposed to be there for you, the people who are supposed to encourage you and raise you to live a good life, to be healthy, to be happy, and you bring certain things up and they're not they're not approving of it, they don't like it, or and some parents, they don't approve of it because they know that it might be the right thing, but they just don't want to see you do better than them, right? And unfortunately, people will always tell you no or tell you you're crazy if they're afraid that you'll outdo them, right? Because typically it's the things that we do that are the most risky or the most controversial that are the things that get us the results we want and get us away from mediocrity and into an extraordinary life situation, extraordinary results, right? Like, for example, I bring up, I have a lot of crypto, right? And, my dad, he's always, I don't bring it up to him a lot, but he's like, oh, don't throw any more money into that Bitcoin, or don't throw any money. And I'm like, dude, you have a 401k that isn't even over $100,000 that you had for 17 years. I have a crypto portfolio that matches that, and I've only had it for 3 years. What are you talking about? Like, make it make sense, right? So that's what I'm trying to say when I say that people or your parents or whoever never want to see you. Some of them never want to see you do better than them, because, like I said, it brings them back to the times in their life where they fucked up, or they didn't have the ability to see things through and make a commitment to themselves to do the thing that's right, that's gonna get them the results they want. So now when you do that, when you exceed those limitations, when you rise up and conquer your fears and your demons and achieve the results you want, when they see that, they say you're crazy, or they say you're someone who is you're too controversial, or you're gonna that's unsafe, that's not how you're gonna make money doing that, right? Things like this, right? Things like this. And your teachers are no better, right? I think teachers may be a little bit more open-minded, right? But they're no better, right? They're brainwashed, right? They're programmed just like everyone else. So like I said, I mean, it's frustrating, but I think as a young person, my best piece of advice is, if you're someone in high school, work as many hours as you can and save up and get out and get into your own apartment, buy a condo, do something. If you want to go to school for something advanced, do that, obviously. But the way you're going to feel the first sense of relief and the first sense of freedom is the freedom you get from leaving your parents, right? I think after we leave our parents, I think the second level of freedom is leaving our job, right? Because typically our jobs are like the last conventional, traditional thing that we're brainwashed to indulge in. So like I said, life is really a process of becoming more free. And when you get away from your parents, when you leave school, when you can kind of just dwell in your own identity and really flourish and cultivate your own sense of self, and you bring that to the world and you express that to the world in whatever way, I think that's when you experience the most joy, and when you can rise up as a leader and change things for the better, right? Because one thing that's not going to solve any of life's issues is repeating the same process as your teachers and your parents, right? Because think about it, right? They went to school, they got a job, they went into debt, they overate, they became obese, they had crazy medical bills, right? And now they're telling you that if you live somehow outside of that you're a bad person, or you're doing things that are crazy, right? So like I said, life is evolving and God wants new things. We don't want to repeat the same things over and over again. So if you're watching this video, get away from your parents as soon as possible. Get away from the education as soon as possible. Unless you're going into unless you're going into a field, it's going to pay you a high sum. Get away and cultivate your own sense of identity. And I think you'll feel that sense of freedom that you've been craving. I think that feeling of being trapped will go away. That depression, that frustration will all go away, because I know it went away for me, and I want that to be the same for you. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And as always, I'll talk to you soon. Peace.